Attention! All things shared in this video are simply the opinions of the Unexplained Files. The following footage is not tampered with, and all of the events and reactions are unplanned and genuine.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Unexplained Files. I say welcome back. This could be your very first time in the Unexplained Files, and if it is, we welcome you. This is, in fact, the greatest paranormal channel in the UK, where we do investigations. We have case files where we review haunted things, haunted happenings, creatures and beings. We take a look at all of the best haunted things upon the internet, cryptid things on the internet, and take a good react and laugh at that. We have this podcast, which is something we forget about all too often, but we've got one to bring to you today. And speaking of which, today we're going to be talking about the 1992 show Ghostwatch, which, as far as I understand it, was kind of just something they put up on TV without ever letting anybody know that it was like scripted and kind of like pre-written.
I think it was said, but quite vaguely, so people didn't realise.
Yeah, so it just sort of came up, and if you weren't in the know about it, you were just watching it unfold, just like, what in the hell is going on?
Yeah, because it was made to be like a live paranormal investigation where they're going to a house. I forget where it was now, somewhere in London, where they're experiencing like, I suppose, like a poltergeist or something, which they named, what was it called? Let me look. Pipes, that was it. They called them pipes because, first of all, there was like the sound of banging pipes. Yeah. So I think that's where they got the name from. But from what I can tell, it's kind of similar to that, like an Enfield poltergeist. Because it's like the two girls and the mother. Yeah. And they're experiencing all this crap going on.
Crazy haunting stuff. So, you know, this happened in '92, so it was a few years before I was kicking about.
Yeah, I think I was 15 when it came on, and it freaked me out at the time.
I can imagine if you didn't realise it was all scripted and that was coming. Or was it like a weekly thing, or?
No, it was like a one-off.
Oh, just a one-off.
Yeah, it's on Halloween.
And it reminds me a little bit of that War of the Worlds broadcast, where like everyone thought like it was the end of the world, and it caused a massive stir, because this caused quite a bit of controversy, didn't it?
I know, like, it got banned from being aired ever again. Well, not ever again. Like, it got banned from being aired for a minimum of 10 years.
Bloody hell.
And there were so many complaints, because even like during the show they put up a phone number. Yeah. And then, like, if you was lucky to get through, it said this is like not real. It's just a.
Oh right, okay.
But because the lines got so busy, people couldn't get through, so everyone was freaking out.
That's mad. Like, I thought today I don't know, like, if something like this could happen on TV, because with the internet and everyone just trying to disprove everything, there's no way that you could get away with proving or like faking something this large. Not that they were trying to fake it, but like a lot of people being concerned it was real. I don't think it would even happen today. There's been a few things a bit similar to this. Like I saw, even Mum was watching a documentary, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, it was about mermaids or something, and it was talking about how they'd apparently found like footage from a team who did a dive somewhere in a submarine, and they'd seen these weird creatures they couldn't explain and stuff like this. It was like Mermaid, the New Evidence, or something to that effect. I'll put the name up on screen if I can remember to find it. But that got, similarly to this, got so much flack because it was presenting itself as real, but then also, if you looked deep enough, they were just like, it's not real, by the way. But that, if I look back at it, when I was watching it with Mum, she didn't realise it was fake, but I was just like, there's no way this is real, just like watching the footage they had, and then I looked it up and saw that it was fake. But every now and then, something does come along and catches people off guard. And I'm just like,
Back then anyway, like 92, you know, obviously things, you didn't have like all the YouTube with the paranormal channels and all this kind of stuff. And I think like following on from that is when you started getting movies like Blair Witch Project and stuff like that.
There was a big, like in the 90s especially, a huge paranormal fascination to do with like demons and spirits and ghosts and stuff like that. Look at The Exorcist and stuff like that, and all of that, because like you've had the horror genre's been around for ages, but it was the like, ghosts and the paranormal that got its big bump like then. Because even like if you look back at like the 80s and even before that, it's all like serial killers and things like that. But it was the time for ghosts. There was a big fascination about that.
Interested to, well, there's got to be people watching that must have seen it, so you have to let us know what your thoughts are.
I found a clip here. It's this is apparently just a trailer, but I'll obviously have to mute the audio on it so I can put it up on the screen and that. But I'll take a look at it and see what's going on.
Stop it! Stop it, Susie! Pretend you're coming with me.
So welcome live this Halloween night to the first ever TV Ghost Watch. That's the scene in Foxhill Drive in Northolt. Our outside broadcast units are there. That's the house where it might all happen tonight, or it might not. We shall see.
A seance. Massive seance.
Get off me!
Susie! Mike! Oh, what's happened? Are you okay? Look.
Round and round the garden, like a teddy bear.
That, if I'd have seen that on TV when I was young, that would have got me. I would have been terrified.
I think like back then and all, kids were still a lot more like kids at 15, so I was still like quite childish like, I suppose, back when I was 15.
Well, I mean, without the internet, you're exposed to a lot less as well, so when you see something, it sticks with you so much more. Like, I remember being younger and watching TV shows, and I can remember them more so than many things I've seen on the internet, because the internet is so like quickly like passing you by and fleeting to see everything. But when something big comes across, it's like, now if something like that were to come out on TV the exact same way it did in 92, very few people would see it by comparison. But this seems like the sort of thing where if you saw that and you went to school, like a few days after, everyone would be talking about that. That would have sold me. It really did have a bit like a Most Haunted live feel to it with the cars out on the street.
It's good that like they pulled it off, obviously, because they made it like a live investigation. Then it was like proper TV presenters playing themselves. So I think it was like Michael Parkinson, Craig Charles, Sarah Green, and Mike Smith, I think it was. I don't know who the other woman was that was in the studio, but and then obviously it was like a combination of where they've made it look like live action shots and just like studio stuff and put it all together. It was like proper.
It was impressively done. Like, if I'd have watched that, I would have been captivated by it. I can see why it caused such like a big panic. I mean, if it never explicitly stated when you're watching the show, this is like scripted or something like that. If it didn't outright say that and I didn't catch it, I'd be like, what have I just witnessed?
Because I'm sure, because I was watching Beardo recently, and I'm sure you were saying at the start, before it started, it said something about it being a dramatisation, but I don't know if a lot of people caught it.
But then a lot of shows will say that now anyway, and you're just sort of left not knowing. I wonder how much of because this kind of like fascination with the paranormal in the 90s kept all the way up until like the mid 2000s, all the way to the 2010s. If you look at like Most Haunted Success and Ghost Hunters and all of the genre of shows, because those were the ones that I grew up watching as well, which got me fascinated in it. They all have that, oh, this is for entertainment purposes, or this is a dramatisation, and it makes you wonder how much of this, and if they can achieve that, how much of it is fake and what of it is for show. Like all these paranormal like shows that have like this nerve centre and the wires about and the vans where people are sat with screens, how much of that is part of the we need to make this look legit and trying to sell this?
See, I'm just trying to think if the shows were more, they were still probably a bit more hyped up back then, like, but I don't know about how compared to nowadays. It's like when you see some of the old Most Haunted and that, they run around screaming and crap like that. But Ghost Hunters, they were like more into debunking, weren't they? They didn't. There weren't anyone.
They were getting in experts and checking this and checking that, and multi-spectrum cameras and whatnot. Most Haunted was very much like they came at it from a spiritualistic kind of angle, where they got in people and they did their cleansings and all that kind of thing. And it was very much like bigging up the whole, is something following us and we don't know what's, like, remember that whole Pendle Witch saga where something apparently followed them from that point onwards and all that kind of thing. It had this more supernatural element as opposed to Ghost Hunters, which was very much like the we've got this multi-spectrum camera and we're going to check out this and check out that and find the proof of it. Whereas this, they did look like they were trying to go the proof aspect, but also stuff was just kicking off undeniably.
I used to like enjoy watching all that, but like nowadays I haven't really seen much. I know your mother watches stuff on the TV sometimes, but then they just seem to be very entertainment orientated, didn't they? And it's like it's just entertainment now. It's not. It's not actually. You're not actually thinking, I'm watching someone doing a proper paranormal investigation.
I wonder whether it's always been that way though. It's just the perspective. Like, because before we had equipment and before we went out and kind of had experiences of our own, we just accepted it for what it was. And you thought, if I was to go into this building, would it happen the exact same way? And what would I experience? Whereas the chances are, unless you got a really interesting place, you probably wouldn't get a lot.
Oh, really?
I think if we were to take 4, 5, 6 people to Chapel Wood, and we actually got something out of it without something kicking off, there would be people that would freak out and would want to leave, and you'd have those more dramatic moments, depending on the personalities you took as well, because that's a big part of it. Because that place has a real feel to it. It has like a tension and stuff keeps kicking off, and we can't seem to film there, and it doesn't want you to be there unless it does. So that place would be, I think, with the right people, you could get like a Most Haunted style feel out of that with people freaking out. But the two of us are very like, one, we want proof and we're not straight away going, what's going on, panic, run, it's a ghost. But two, even if we were to panic, it wouldn't be screaming and it'd be like, we'd go dead quiet and we'd just be like trying to move away from the problem real quick until we can find an exit. I think the dairy video proves that. When the guys were cruising up on where we were last minute, we weren't like, and like screaming, running, we just quickly skipped up and out and around, and that was it. And then as soon as we got past them, we just started laughing like, oh shit, that actually happened. That seems to be the way we do things.
That'd be interesting actually one day, to get a group of people and see how that changes the dynamic of the video.
I would want to do that. I think if I was to think of one place I'd want to take a group, it would be Chapel Wood, because you can be there, like you're allowed to be there. It's not like you're encroaching or anything. And with enough people, it's like you're safe there as long as there's no missing people shining lasers at you. But that would be an interesting one to take multiple people to, because it's out the way. It's such a strange location. So I think I'd be up for doing that in the future.
Yeah, I'd like that actually. I think that'd be quite interesting.
Well, that's something we can put out on the channel if there's any. If you know, if we do end up opening up a Discord and a Patreon and all the stuff that comes along with that, we can get a little group together and sort of test the waters and the idea of getting people out there and filming maybe a bigger situation. I don't know if we do it live. I think they do one or two where they're pre-recorded, but if it goes well and we can figure out how it would happen, maybe some live ones in the future, like with a bigger group.
Yeah, because a place we could do it with people that we don't even know would be Bodmin Jail, because if we get put into a group like we did last time, then I'm sure they wouldn't mind joining.
No, not at all. If we had enough people, we could just say, well, look, can we just have this to ourselves if we pay a little bit extra, sort of thing. A big live group with the unexplained files. That'd be an interesting one, even to do a live situation for. That'd be cool. Because there was some things at Bodmin Jail that were happening that were a bit like...
The only problem with that, as in a live stream, do you mean? Being in the deeper parts of the jail where you get signal.
Starlink!
Yeah.
Well, that would be something we could look at in the future, but I think a big live event, I would be interested in doing something like that, because it would really feel a bit like going back to the thing that inspired me to enjoy the paranormal with Most Haunted and stuff back in the day. I loved all of that live stuff, so if we could do that, it'd be very cool.
I just want to go somewhere and experience some stuff happening. Like, obviously I don't want it to get crazy, like shit flying around and stuff, but I'd love to see like a shadow figure or a door opening on its own, or something happening, something falling off a wall.
Recently I've been following it. I followed a girl on Instagram. She works at the house that inspired the Conjuring house. She's like, I don't know if she like does tours or she's like
at the Conjuring house.
Yeah.
There's a lot of controversy around that place. Right?
Oh yeah, it could be a load of bollocks.
I'll tell you about it in a minute.
Yeah, but they've got loads of things where it's just like doors, just in their security footage, just a little bit.
Apparently,
so to see that would be cool as fuck.
The woman, I don't know if it's I think it's the woman that owns it, because I was watching like Jason Hawes that used to do like Ghost Hunters tabs. I watched one of his videos earlier and he was talking about the guy, I don't know if he was like a supervisor or manager type person there, and she recently fired him because she said one of the 18th century ghosts told her that like he was psychically attacking her and that he'd been stealing and she owes him like 5 weeks wages and all weird stuff like this, and she's fired a load of other people from there, like because the ghost telling her, you know, that they're psychically attacking her and stuff like that. I was like,
psychically attacking.
So it sounds like from what I've heard, she's a bit well, I'm not saying mental, but she's we're back.
We have managed to figure out our problem by sitting in the same camera shots. There we go.
Faulty equipment.
The joys of it. But yeah, no, I forget where we were.
I was saying, there's definitely like a physical and spiritual connection. There's something within the body and outside that must be interacting to make all this
like
happen.
Interwoven with each other. I mean, there's a lot of ancient beliefs and spiritual sort of things that exist where there's not just necessarily a person and a soul, but it's more like a twisting and winding together of loads of different parts and pieces that sort of unravel once you've died. They kind of all unravel and they're their own separate parts. Like, I know in the Norse perspective, your thoughts and your mind are two separate things that are a part of your soul and your existence, and your physical body is another part, and then there's the silver cord and all that stuff that exists in it, and that's sort of Norse soul theory and stuff like that.
I wish when I'd had my out-of-body experiences, I'd have been aware of that and thought to look to see if there was a silver cord there, because I know people that have had out-of-body experiences said they've seen it.
We'll have to do a separate video on our experiences.
Well, this one's about ghost watching. We probably talked more about
well, we've moved it into like thinking about spiritual stuff in general. But I can see where, like, even just the way that right now we've gone off and we've talked about that. Think about how people would have felt back then when the ghosts and stuff like that. Yeah, they were talked about, but what the difference perspective is now. Like, how many years has it been? Like nearly 30 odd years now since then. More so, like 32 years since that point. How much further perspectives and study and things like that have come along. So imagine where people's minds must have been going after seeing that. You can see why there was so much hysteria and stuff kicking off with it, because it was such a crazy event. But I would love to see someone do something big like that today and see what comes of it. But
yeah, it's like what I think you were saying earlier, though. Everything's so kind of dramatised now, and like there's a lot of fake stuff out there. People wouldn't even bat an eyelid if they saw it. They'd like enjoy it for the drama and that, but
yeah, well,
it wouldn't get the same response like that did.
No, not at all. I remember when you said about like when you used to like now going back and watching like Ghost Hunters and Most Haunted. It's all just the entertainment value, and I think that. It's partly, like I said, like we started saying, was because we've gone out and had our own experiences and stuff, and partly because of it is a product, and that exists even in the internet, on the internet space as well, like on YouTube. Like we've got like paranormal groups like Twin Paranormal and various other paranormal things who are, I wouldn't say Twin Paranormal keeps up that Most Haunted feel, where it's not necessarily we're going here to prove something, it's more we're making an entertainment product and paranormal's the theme.
Yeah.
So like, and it has its place, like it is purely entertainment, but I wouldn't class it as the same thing as what we do. We're going out there with interest and like what's going to happen here. Like we want things to kick off, but would they, or who bloody well knows, we'll most likely come away with nothing. But then we have, if you look at a broader evidence, rather than just everything at one location, we have had a crazy batch of experiences, really, like catching what looks to be a shadow figure on camera, and bumps and bangs and growls, and we have had a fair share of interesting stuff, to be fair. But it reminds me of there was an episode of Doctor Who in like sometime around 2010, actually maybe a bit before that, where in a parallel universe, I think they actually called it Ghostwatch as well, they had a thing where these like weird grey spirits were just appearing every so often when these shifts were happening, and they had this whole thing on TV, and it was done by the BBC obviously because it's Doctor Who, and they called it Ghostwatch, and they'd have these like broadcasts that would happen when a shift is about to happen, so you'd see all these spirits like crossing over, and people would go and talk to them and try and thinking it was a gone family member and so on and so forth. And I wonder whether that was kind of like paying homage to that a little bit by calling it Ghostwatch. And because when you first told me about it, that's exactly what I thought of the Doctor Who episode. I would say I'd put a clip in it, but I don't know if the BBC would clamp down on the podcast after doing that. But you know, it would be interesting to see if anything happened like that again today. And I do want to know, like, if you guys watching this were around at the time or remember seeing that, what are your thoughts on it? Because like a lot of people, obviously you and Mum were saying that you were freaked out by it when it came on TV. I think
I made your mother sleep in my room that night.
I can't say I'm surprised. I would have freaked out if I'd seen it. It was spooky as well, and that voice that was kicking off. Ooh.
Yeah, that it's like that proper got me. I was just like,
just it makes me go back and question all of the stuff that we've seen in the past and reacted to, how much of it could be faked and just not admitting it. I'm out of it today.
Not with it.
I remember when I heard for the first time the recordings from the Enfield horror, you know, the voice of the guy, that freaked me right out when I first heard it. I think I was at a partner's house at the time, or an ex-partner's house, and I was sat there and we watched a film, I think it was The Conjuring, one of the Conjuring films just about it, and at the end they actually showed the recordings of it, and that shit me right up. We were, obviously the house was dark as well, so that added to it, but so I can only just imagine if I was young and I was watching that on TV, I would have been terrified.
Yes, it's weird, all that kind of stuff, isn't it? It's funny how we go out and looking for, you know, any paranormal stuff and unexplained stuff and that, but then you can just freak yourself right out just watching a film on TV, and then you don't even want to leave your room because you like freaking out there's something behind you or something.
Well, I avoid horror. I used to really enjoy watching horror films. My favourite horror films were paranormal ones, but I avoid them like the plague now because I don't want to be walking through a forest, in pitch black and thinking, is there a big cat out here? Or is there some form of nun, demon, ghost thing wandering about out here, and what could be looking at us, and all manner of trouble. So I just avoid it to make the best so we can come out and do this stuff, because otherwise that'd be too much.
Yeah, I still love watching all that stuff, but yeah, it depends what's going on.
Yeah.
If I knew if we was going to be doing something coming up, and then I'd be like, I might avoid this.
Avoid it for
afterwards.
a week or so. Yeah. Well, another thing as well is I can't watch paranormal things on YouTube anymore.
Yeah.
I just can't, because my friend used to sit down and watch paranormal, because he lives up in Scotland, so we will sit down and just watch episodes of something, and it used to always be twin paranormal and stuff like that. Ever since we go out investigating, I can't watch it the same way, because I can't help myself from being like, listen, this is fun and all, and I like the entertainment, but there's nothing real about it. I just can't watch it. I know that they're doing this for entertainment, and I respect it. Like, it's got its place, but it's not, to me, it's not real paranormal investigating. It's just.
I know they do have some interesting stuff happening on there, so I think they are looking for the paranormal, but it's very hyped.
They're
up,
playing the
so.
YouTube game as well,
Yeah.
and I get it. Like, they've earned their way to the success they have, so you can see that it works, and it's all too tempting to follow in the same footsteps, but at the same time, that's not what we do. We're obviously out there trying to find evidence and documenting it, whereas they're trying to give you an entertainment product, and they do. Like, they're really good at it. And now we've had to just move on to like camping videos and stuff, because I can't watch paranormal stuff on YouTube anymore. I have to go out and experience it. But maybe one day we'll go out and we'll see such crazy events that I'll be like, oh shit, maybe all of it was real. That's what we need to happen. We need to find an abandoned building and get chased around it by something.
Yeah, I actually look forward to that time when we experience something full on good happen, because although at the time I'll probably be
terrified.
shitting it, afterwards I'll be like, finally, we've had a decent encounter.
It is weird how you get like that, where when you're in an environment, the scarier it is at the time, you're thinking, why have I done this? Why have I put myself here? And you're trying to film it, and you don't want to be found, and you want to get yourself out, and it's terrifying. And as soon as you've got away from it, it's like, that was the best thing we've ever done.
Yeah.
Because you know you're safe then, and it was so exhilarating and fun. But at the time, you're just like, ooh, this one was a bit risky.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever been scared while we're out of anything paranormal.
No.
Depending on where we've been, it's usually been more worried that there's going to be people about.
The only one time, what was it? I mean, I remember
the Lenwood Centre, but then I
Lenwood
thought
Centre,
maybe that was someone as well. So
that was freaky, but that was more like you said, it could be a person, and we wanted to get out there just in case. If I had thought that was just a spirit and that was all it was, I probably would have reacted entirely differently, I think. But then the one place where I could have lost my cool if I didn't lock in was that Knapp house in the same building where the ballroom was, like when we were in the thin corridors, because I was very hyper aware of how there were like multiple of these corridors, and I was like, we're here right now, it's one way in, one way out, you can't even see down the corridor. If any of these doors go or anything kicks off, that was when I started to get like, because that was like that felt like a horror film location, that was crazy. And we've tried to go back there, but it, Walking Dead style, has been barricaded in the road and says, Knapp house is ours, no, you're not welcome, don't bother coming in. And I'm kind of like,
so we was like, okay,
because I don't want the police to find us there. Not that, to be fair, there's no trespassing law, so being there isn't illegal, but still.
I just don't want any nutters to find us.
No, especially because they pulled down a tree as well and put that across the road. That was like, I don't know, we've got footage of it somewhere, I think, unless it would have been.
We might have probably deleted it now, I guess.
If we ever do attempt to go back there, which is highly unlikely, we'd have to try and get a picture of the state of which that was left in, because that was like, don't come in. But yeah, that was our Ghost Watch podcast, which we got sidetracked. Ghost Watch / paranormal / whatever other place our mind took us to on that. But what do you guys think? Did you watch Ghost Watch when it came out in '92? Were you creeped out by it? Do you know people who were creeped out by it? And do you think we could get another thing like that today? let us know what you think, and if you have anything paranormal experience wise you want to share with us, feel free to do that in the comments below. And if you would be interested perhaps one day in joining us for a large paranormal investigation, perhaps in a location like Chapel Wood, let us know, because I think that's something we're interested in doing in the future. So you know, you may just be a watcher now and an avid viewer, but you may come along with us on an investigation and do a Bodmin Jail or a Chapel Wood. So yeah, let us know. And the more you comment as well, the more likely we'll see it and be like, yeah, right, we'll put you on the list for people to come alongside with us. I think we do actually have an upcoming investigation to organise where we could have someone who's a viewer come along with us.
Yeah, hopefully. I need to speak.
So fingers crossed we get that one in the books. That could be a good bit of fun. I don't know if we know exactly where we're going for that one yet, but
I got a rough idea. Well, the area, but
yeah,
what plays in that area, not.
Yeah, but that should be an interesting one to go forward with. We've done an investigation already where we've had some people come along with us who've enjoyed watching the channel. So put your name down in the comments and we will hopefully get to investigate with you one day in the future. And if you have enjoyed this evening's video, we'd appreciate it if you'd give us a like and a comment. If you want to check out any of our paranormal investigations so you can see the evidence we've captured, once again I'll stick an iCard up in whatever corner it sits in so you can go and watch these paranormal investigations of us. We also have the case files where we talk about all things paranormal, cryptids, haunted occasions, events and places. So if you want to get a more educational content, feel free to jump into that one. We also very recently did the Heaven's Gate cult, so we're moving into a bit of extra content if you want to see that. I'll also stick up the podcast playlist if you want to see some of the other things we've looked into, and we also have a reactions playlist, which is our more calm down, funny, easygoing content, which we haven't done in one for a good minute. The last thing we think we reacted to was the news of big cats. DNA evidence being found in the UK.
Actual reaction, like where we react to paranormal videos or anything like that.
We do often react to paranormal videos and stuff. I think actually it might be fun to do like a more easygoing video where we just collect some evidence from various channels like Twin Paranormal and people like that, videos where we kind of don't it doesn't have to necessarily be like this is the realest thing we've seen, but we could talk about like how we'd feel if we
I'm
were
always
in that
watching
scenario.
stuff like that, and I've seen some really interesting things.
If you find it, just start saving it and we'll react to some more of that. But before us two get on rambling, we hope you have a fantastic rest of your evening. Thank you for watching the content, and we hope to see you again next time. Goodbye.